Hi, I'm Trucker Desiree. I'm getting ready to start a series called Trucking 101. I've been getting contacted a lot about my story that I wrote on Ask the Trucker, called A Day in the Life of a Lady Trucker. There's a lot of misconceptions about why I wrote it. And there's a lot of reasons why I wrote it. There's clues in that story to a lot of different things. Sometimes people read that story and then they go, oh, that's probably all made up, or that would never happen to me. And then it happens to them, and then they contact me and they're like, well, that really happens, and but then they say, well, you made it, so I know I could make it. And yeah, you can, but you have to do your homework. You have to study what I'm saying. You have to put me aside. A lot of people get caught up with me, and they don't realize the system is set up for you to fail. You need to pay attention to what's going on. So I'm going to start making a series of videos and sort of explain some of the parts of the story and some of the things that I've learned since I wrote the story about the trucking industry and how it's set up for you to fail and why. So I'm actually in a shutdown right now, and there's trucks sitting around and there's guys bumming out because they're trying to get home for Christmas and they can't get home because the road's shut down in front of us, and I'm not going home for Christmas, so I am sitting in a parking lot making YouTubes. And my dog is here with me, Karma, and she's just sitting on the bed back there, and we're just gonna make the best of our shutdown time and share some of our experiences. So I'm doing the best that I can with this video thing. Bear with me while I learn how to do this editing and stuff like that, and we'll see where we go with this. Okay, so this is the beginning of my new series that I'm making, Trucking 101. If you do your homework, and you need to do your homework because there is a lot of mechanisms in place to make you fail. Truck driving is not set up for you to be successful because there's a lot of money to be made in you failing. That's hard to wrap your head around, and it's one because students work cheap, and if they have a continuing cycle of students that never get enough experience to move on into the trucking industry, they always have this really cheap labor pool. So sometimes I hear experienced carriers saying that they have a shortage of qualified drivers. There's no qualified recruits. Well, that's because there's no qualified candidates that are making it out of the training carriers to get to that level. And that's because there's so many mechanisms in place to make people fail. So what I'm trying to do is let you guys know that so you can prepare and you can be successful. The first thing that you need to know about trucking is you do have to drive 11 hours a day. You might not have to drive 11 hours every day, but in between loads you will sit, and you might sit, a long time. Some companies give you layover pay. They should give you layover pay to sit that amount of time. I find that people are extremely impatient while they're waiting in between loads. I'm happy wherever I am. I take my dog for a walk. I find something to do. I find something to take pictures of. I'm on a dedicated account, so a lot of this doesn't really apply to me, but when I was running on a team, my team partners, they would just get like crazily irate when we were in between loads. In fact, one of them would stress out while we were on a load, worrying about getting the next load. Oh my God, we're never gonna, and to me it's like, what, take advantage of the time and do something useful with your life. Read a book or enjoy the scenery. So it's kind of, a lot of it has to do with you. But let's get back to the CDL thing. Number one, everybody is making commissions in trucking that is involved in recruiting either entry-level recruiting, CDL recruiting, trying to get women into trucking recruiting. They don't really care whether you make it or not, okay? They don't care. They want to get you in there because they make money off that. And then they're going to say, well, you can always quit. Get another job. Well, guess what? Who makes money off that? Recruiters. Not you. You look like a job hopper. So you need to be patient and you need to pay attention to these people. Well, you can always quit. You should go, really? Okay, I think I'll stay. Thanks. Pay attention to people that talk to you like that. When you first go and look for CDL schools, look up on the ripoff report. I did and found my school, but it was too late. I spent the money, or my girlfriend spent the money. She actually paid for me. But, you know, all that did to me was, okay, this is where I'm at. So that means I'm going to have to try twice as hard because these people are in business to rip others off. So that means I need to work twice as hard to pay attention to get to the next level. And that's how I took it. So when you hear people saying, oh, but you got to go to PTD high school, that doesn't mean anything. That means they got a stamp of approval from something. That doesn't mean you're going to learn anything more than I learned. There's a lot of good drivers that came out of my crappy CDL school. And it's because they raised their own standard. There's a lot of money to be made in selling somebody a $6,000 loan that they will be absolutely useless to them, but they still have to repay the loan at some crazy amount of interest. The first thing you'll notice about CDL school is people are dropping off like flies. They still owe that loan. And if you saw the Dan Rather investigative report called Mind Your Loan Business, what I suspected is true. Those people own, some of those people own the paper. That means when somebody borrows money from you and you charge them interest, you made money off that money. So if you borrowed $50 from somebody and they charged you 19% interest, they're getting back their $50 plus 19%. Now, when you do that at a CDL school and they're charging you $6,000 or $7,000 for a 3-week course, and then you bail out or you can't make it or something happens because maybe you had something on your record that they didn't tell you about when you signed for the loan and now nobody will hire you. They do that, okay? And you're like, wait, you should have told me that before I signed for this loan. They don't care because they're selling loans. They're selling you CDL school. They don't care if you ever get into a truck. So you need to do your own homework. And there's some really big companies that do this to people. So you need to pay attention. I like Alan Smith's suggestion that you go to a VOTEC school or a community college. I've had people call me from northern Florida who got a hold of some big CDL school that's there. I'm not going to mention the name. If you live in Florida, you know the name. And once you call to get some information, they keep calling and calling and calling and calling. Oh, you gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta row, there's a driver shortage. Whoa. Okay, there's no driver shortage right now, but there's gonna be at CSA 2010 because there's a lot of drivers out here that have no clue what's about to happen to them. And they're not gonna prepare the new students either. So you need to prepare yourself. You better know from day one before you go signing on for a $7,000 loan if you're going to be driving in 6 months, because somebody's going to call you up and say, guess what? You can't be a driver. Well, why didn't they tell me? Because they don't care. That's why. They don't care. I want you to understand that you can go to a community college and take a CDL course. It's going to be way cheaper and maybe several weeks, and it's going to be, they're going to probably try a little harder. There are CDL schools that put in a lot of effort to teach you, but at the end of the day, you are not going to know anything until you get behind the wheel of a truck and you're operating it yourself and you have all the fear and all the anticipation and all of your own personal judgment on top of you. And you know that the load has got actual stuff that you better get there safely or you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So there's nothing in CDL school that can prepare you for that. Don't buy any books about how to go to CDL school. Anybody with a pulse that can get a loan can graduate CDL school, okay? getting the job and keeping the job that's the problem. So be careful. You don't want to get into a $7,000 loan and you never drove anywhere and you still owe it. And you know, this is exactly what happened in the mortgage industry. People taking advantage of other people who are disenfranchised, and I mean people who have the least amount to spare, who have all their hopes and dreams, have been totally taken advantage of, okay? And we got a big problem in this country. So a lot of it's because people take advantage of other people that have the least to offer. And there's a lot of that in trucking. And you need to know that before you get into it. They're going to have their little paper tigers up there going, oh yeah, be a trucker. I work for this company and it's so great, wonderful, blah, 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 blah. Well, that's their hand-picked, selected person that gets on, you know, a dedicated fleet. I'm on a dedicated fleet. My life is great, you know, but I see a lot of people still that are like, what's happening? Why is this happening? Because it's set up for you to fail. That's why. And you need to be smarter than all of these scandalous carpetbaggers that want to take your money and throw you in the ditch. That's trucking 101.